Dr. Josephine, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. கேக்குதா? கேக்குதா? சிவா மேம், நான் சொல்றது கேக்குதா?
ஒரே நிமிஷம். மேடம், டாக்டர் ஜோஸ்பின் மேம்.
எஸ் மேம்.
ஓகே, கேக்குது மேம். ரிசோர்ஸ் பர்சன் சார் வந்துட்டாங்களா மேம்?
அதுதான் அவங்க இல்ல.
சரி. இவங்க தமிழ் அமெரிக்கா வந்துட்டாங்க.
ஓகே ஓகே. Where?
ஹலோ. டாக்டர் ஜோஸ்பின் மேம்,
Yes, ma'am.
நீங்க அந்த லிங்க் டே 3க்கு போட்ட லிங்க் வேறயா? சேம் லிங்கா மேடம்?
Same link தான்.
லிங்க் மாறி இருக்கு மேம் நம்ம அனுப்புனதுல.
அப்படியா?
ம். அதான் நிறைய பேர் ஜாயின் பண்ண முடியலன்னு சொல்றாங்க.
Link is incomplete. No? Hello? Oh,
பாத்தீங்களா மேடம்?
மேம் ஆக்சுவலா இன்னைக்கு அனுப்பியிருக்கிற மெசேஜ்ல ஒரு 2-3 கேரக்டர் கட் ஆயிருக்குது மேம் கூகுள் மீட் லிங்க்ல. ஸோ நேத்து நீங்க அனுப்புற மெசேஜ்ல கரெக்டா இருக்குது மேம்.
டாக்டர் ஜோஸ்பின் மேம்,
yes, ma'am.
அனுப்பிட்டேன் குரூப்ல. நீங்க அதை உங்க ரிசோர்ஸ் பர்சன் அனுப்பிடுங்க மேடம்.
Oh, okay.
இதான் வரதுக்கு பார்ட்டிசிபென்ட் ஜாயின் பண்றதுக்கு லேட் ஆனதுக்காக தான் ரீசனா இருக்கும்னு நினைக்கிறேன் மேடம்.
Yeah, please. Sir? வரலையா?
Ma'am, not audible, ma'am. Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Not able to listen, ma'am. It's not audible.
Wait, ma'am. After 5 minutes, we will start. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thanks, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Audible, ma'am.
Madam, you are audible.
டாக்டர் ஜோஸ்பின் மேம்
ஆ
சார் வந்துட்டாங்களா மேம்? ரிசர்ச் பர்சன் சார்
ஜாயின் பண்றேன் அப்படியே கொஞ்சம் வெயிட் பண்ணுங்க. லோட் பண்ணுங்க.
அட்மிட் கொடுக்காம வெயிட் பண்ணவா?
ஆமா
இன்னும் 5 தான் இருக்கு.
ஆமா
மறுபடியும் வெயிட் பண்ண வந்துட்டாங்க.
வந்துட்டேன்.
ஓகே.
குட் ஆஃப்டர்நூன் சார்.
குட் ஆஃப்டர்நூன் சார். டாக்டர் கௌரி சங்கர் சார்.
குட் ஆஃப்டர்நூன் சார்.
Sir, good afternoon, sir. Dr. Gauri Singh, sir, good afternoon. I welcome you, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Sir, your voice is not audible, sir.
Sir, Sir, good afternoon, sir. Sir, can you hear us? But we cannot hear you. Your voice is not audible, sir. Shakti ma'am, Dr. Shakti ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Please wait. Actually, sir only left the meeting. It's audio problem. So wait.
Ma'am Sunita, please mute yourself.
Yes, sir has joined.
Sir, join பண்ணிட்டாங்களா?
ஆமா.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Switch on your video.
It is only switched on. Switched on.
Switch. Yes. Yes. Yes, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, madam. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening.
Happy welcome you.
Hope I am visible and audible.
Yes, yes,
Yes, sir.
yes.
Good evening, sir. Good evening.
Good evening, madam. Good evening, madam.
Um,
Ma'am,
just yes, no, I need to read your name, but just a minute.
yes, yes.
Right? Okay, okay. Dr. Josephine,
Yes, ma'am.
start.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We'll start the program.
Dear participants, please mute your audio, please. All are mute your audio, please. Very good evening to you all. Everyone has unique gifts and talents. The person born with a talent they are meant to use will find their greatest happiness in using it. Your talent determines what you can do. Your motivation determines how much you are willing to do. Your attitudes determines how well you do it. It's a great honor and an immense pleasure for me, and I extend a very warm welcome to all of you presented here for the 1 week international webinar on Teaching Redefined for Gen Z. Day 3 session, Teacher Competencies in Virtual Learning, organized by Department of Educational Psychology, Center for Capacity Building Program for School Teachers, Tamil Nadu Teachers Education University, Chennai, and IPAC, Stella Mettituna College of Education, Chennai. I'm happy to welcome the most respected patron, Professor N. Panjanathan, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Tamil Nadu Teachers Education University, Chennai, and the most respected the co-patrons, Professor N. Balakrishnan, Registrar, Tamil Nadu Teachers Education University, Chennai, and the most respected Reverend Sister Bowlin Mary, Secretary of Stella Mettituna College of Education, Chennai, and the most respected conveners, Professor M. Govindan, Controller of Examinations, Dean of Faculty, Professor and Head, Department of Education Psychology, Tamil Nadu Teachers Education University, Chennai, and Dr. Mrs. Joseph Catherine, Principal of Stella Mettituna College of Education, Chennai, and the directors, Professor S. Mani, Director, Center for National and International Academic Collaboration, and Professor and Head, Department of Educational Planning and Administration, Tamil Nadu Teachers Education University, Chennai. I welcome you all. And Dr. Mrs. Alma Juliet Vamila, IQAC Coordinator, Associate Professor of Education, Stella Mettituna College of Education. I welcome you, ma'am. I'm happy to welcome Tamil America TV President, Mr. Astin Giltas, and other team members. I heartily welcome you all. We are heartful welcome to today's eminent resource person, Dr. R. Kauri Shankar, Assistant Professor and Head, Loganatha Narayana Swami Government College, Autonomous, Ponneri, Tiruvallur District, Tamil Nadu, who is going to share his views on Teacher competencies in virtual learning. Thanks for joining us, sir. I extend a warm welcome, you, sir.
Brilliant.
Next, I welcome Organizing Secretary Dr. Aroki Elizabeth Josephine, Assistant Professor, Department of Biological Science, Stella Matituna College of Education, Chennai. I welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
And I welcome Organizing Joint Secretaries Dr. Mrs. Jane Swantini, Directress SG in Physical Education, Dr. Mrs. K. Mangai, Assistant Professor of Education, Sister V. Sija Viola, Assistant Professor of Education, Stella Matituna College of Education, and Dr. P. Premalada, Assistant Professor of Education, Bharadiyar. Mr. S. Rajakumar, Assistant Professor of Education, Tyagaraja College of Physics, Madurai. I welcome all the organizing joint secretaries of this webinar. And last but not least, I extend our hearty welcome to wonderful participants who have turned up in such a great numbers from various states across the country. I most welcome all the participants from different parts of our country. Once again, I welcome one and all. Now I invite Sister V. Sija Viola, Assistant Professor of Education, Stella Matituna College of Education, to introduce our resource person. Please, sister.
Okay, ma'am. A warm good evening to one and all present here. This is the Lord's doing. It's marvelous in our eyes. It is my great privilege and pleasure to introduce our resource person, Dr. R. Gauri Shankar, Assistant Professor and Head of the Department of English, Loganatha Narayana Swami Government College, Ponneri. Sir has completed MA in English and MA in Education, MPhil and PhD in English. Sir has 22 years of teaching experience, inclusive of 18 years PG teaching and research experience. Sir has produced 40 MPhil candidates in English and supervised and awarded degree 25 PhD scholars and presently guiding 7 candidates for PhD. He has published 30 research articles in International Referred Journal and UGC Care Listed Journal with ISSN with Impact Factor. Sir has attended and chaired many sessions in international conferences. He stood as state-level first rank in the TRB 2007 recruitment of college teachers for the subject English. A Tamil medium student studied in a rural government higher secondary school up to +2 have achieved the above all. Congratulations, sir. We are blessed to have you as our resource person today. Let us all look forward for a great and constructive knowledge journey with him on the topic Teacher Competencies in Virtual Teaching. I welcome you, sir. Here's a cheerful welcome, big and warm enough to encompass you all to the third day of the international webinar on Teaching Redefined for Gen Z, organized by Department of Educational Psychology and Center for the Capacity Building Programs for School Teachers of Tamil Nadu Teachers Education University in collaboration with IKSC Stella Matituna College of Education, Chennai. Have a wonderful learning time. I request sir to take over the session. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Sister Sija Viola,
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
for the nice introduction. On the part of organizing, I thank Dr. Shivashakti Madam of KNTTU and Dr. Arogya Elizabeth Josephine, faculty member of Education, Biological Education, Stella Matituna College of Education, Chennai. Very happy to meet a huge knowledgeable audience through this webinar. Teaching is my passion, and technology was my specialization in my PhD in the year 2004. Computer-aided language learning, CAL, what we are doing now. from the year 2020 during the pandemic. Because that was my specialization in 2004. How computer can be used well and well. Computer-assisted language learning and web-assisted language learning was my topic. So this lockdown has opened up many avenues. This Google was a business for the private people to conduct business meetings. Now it has come to the teaching profession, how to meet. Because we know the conventional classroom teaching, face-to-face teaching. And we started, modernized our teaching method using some computers, some LCD projectors, OHPs, overhead projectors. And we had shown some visuals. But everything was face-to-face contact. Only because this is a pandemic, so we arrived at a platform where everyone can meet at a point and discuss. This is one advantage. So just I'm giving primer work for our topic, virtual learning or virtual teaching. So we met. Even this is impossible to make an arrangement in a place where we can sit and hear for a meeting. But comfortably, we are sitting and listening to a lecture. Next slide, please.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah?
Little raise your voice, sir, please.
Yeah.
It's, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So first, the very catchy word in our topic, competence, and we generally mean it as a competency. Competency is defined as a set of knowledge, skills and experience necessary for future, which manifest in activities. Teachers need to improve knowledge and skills to enhance, improve and explore their teaching practices. Many of the studies on competencies of teachers focus on the role of teachers in the classroom rather than teacher competencies. The very concrete word, the competence, that is very difficult to define because a teacher may be super skilled, a teacher may be semi-skilled. That's not a question. But how the job is performed inside. We call it technically delivering the goods, whether the topic properly introduced, properly explained, properly given examples, optimal questions are answered through the topic, everything is called competence. It's a set of skills. But when it comes to the virtual learning and virtual teaching environment, there are some modifications and adjustments. Let us see first how our communication is practiced in our classroom. Next slide, please. This is a classroom communication cycle. Still, we are in conventional classroom or a virtual classroom. The teacher in one end and the students are in the other end. We call it as a sender-receiver, encoder, decoder. So what I say through a medium that reaches the students. And the students gets a doubt and asks a question that becomes the feedback. And again, I give an answer and going on explaining things, so that takes a cycle. So the message here is the subject. And the communication channels are plenty. It is listed there. Face-to-face, video-based, telephone-based, speech, voicemail, online, email, letters, bulletins, and media. So the cycle takes place. I introduce a topic, I explain the topic with the example, and moves on. And at a point, I brew a doubt whether students understand my topic. So I ask a question to take a feedback. So if I ask 5 people, when 4 people gives the right answer, I don't bother about the fifth man or fifth girl or fifth boy. Has some problem to receive my topic. But if all the 5 give different answers of what I said, then it requires some problem with the message or a noise. In this communication channel, above the message, I have mentioned one word in black letter called noise. That is due to technical error or not well constructed message. For example, we have some technical issues to start up from my side. My laptop was a little slow, so that's a noise. And my voice is not audible sometimes. That's a noise. When I say something that gets blurred with echo, that's a noise. These are the technical side. Look on the subject side, not well constructed message, not well delivered message, not well coined idea. One boy has given what's your exam result? He said, I failed because of 1 mark. I was a little surprised. This not happened because of 1 mark. A student is failed. Then I asked his mark sheet and looked at it. He got only 1 mark. So the lack of 1 mark is different and getting 1 mark is different. So such ambiguous, faulty messages are known as noise. So this is a communication cycle for both our virtual learning class and our classroom teaching. Even sometimes in most of our online teaching, we used to verify whether am I audible or is my screen visible, like that some questions. Like in the conventional classroom, we say, are you with me? Do you hear me? Listen here. Some of the stimulus we make for the student to respond. So this aspect. Next slide, please. Competence in virtual teaching. Teacher competencies are an outcome-based method. They define key characteristics for successful teachers without prescribing any specific curriculum or instructional practices. Content area knowledge, pedagogic capabilities, communication skills, and professionalism. These are the 4 fundamental competencies a teacher should possess. Content area knowledge is what we are going to teach today. And pedagogic capabilities, any method of teaching specifically required to teach this. For example, it is a drama that you have to dramatize. If it is a poem, you are supposed to sing. If it is a quote from memory, you have to quote. You are not supposed to use a textbook just like that. Communication skills, as I mentioned in the communication cycle, how to convey the content received by the students as planned. And professionalism, we use the blackboard skills, charts, and all that comes under professionalism, and even nowadays the computer network skills. Next slide, please. Some teacher competencies are very much focused on this subject and pedagogical. Pedagogy, you are very familiar with the term, pedagogical competencies. And technological competencies is the main aspect required for this virtual teaching. You design, you organize the material, you create a platform, and setting ready the classroom or Google Meet room, share the link, and secure internet capacity, everything. The technology is a very big word. So, subject competency is 30%. Pedagogical competencies is next 30%, and remaining 40% goes to technological competencies in virtual teaching is concerned. Next slide, please. Subject competence. The teacher competent in his profession has thorough knowledge of subject matter or knowledge of contents. The teacher who has command over subject matter can provide more and more information to the students in the classroom. Knowledge of key concepts, inquiry tools and structure and its implication are essential for combined part lesson planning for the class. So, we have only the topic prepared for 20 minutes. So, the very much possible of training in an 1 hour class, maybe 10 to 15 minutes. Even the listening cycle says the student can listen only 12 minutes per day, not per class, per day. So within that, how we manage our content to be delivered. That's why we have lesson planning, introduction, everything that comes under. I think the screen is okay. Thank you. For the development of reliable cross-curriculum linkages, the teachers must have adequate knowledge of sharing about subject matter of the subject being taught in the class. Further, through integrated lesson plan, the class teachers are capable of an authentic knowledge sharing the teaching learning strategies which are helpful to strengthen student learning. So this comes under how we set this subject competence. Teachers should thoroughly know what is in and out. Nowadays, because we are facing this generation Z. So they have every optimal sources to learn the information. They come prepared. So we are tomorrow I am going to teach passive voice. And in the moment I discuss, and next day some students will come prepared. What is passive voice and all that? So that's one aspect of students. They come prepared. They have optimal sources to learn, availability of sources, and they have educated parents. Sometimes they discuss and they come to class prepared. Slide, please. I think the slide is not visible. So, next slide, please. The teacher, not only the knowledge of content is required, but also required to learn the intersection and recognize the knowledge of the content, the pedagogy. Knowledge of demonstration of subject matter. How you deal. The knowledge of students learning of the subject. How the knowledge transfer is occurred. The teacher should supposed to measure it in the class itself. I taught something, but end of the class, by asking some questions, I should ensure my topic has reached the students. 20%, 30%, 70% students, they are aware. They remember what I said. They can reapply what I said, like that. Knowledge of teaching strategies of teaching methodologies. Is it the demonstrative method, blackboard method, how to use a blackboard, that itself a skill. How to write pictures and correlate things. And pedagogical competence. Next, pedagogical competence includes awareness of alternative instructional methods or technologies. Pedagogical competence requires that instructors actually think about, interrogate their own practices in the curriculum. Being aware of possible strategies of engagement and actively choosing the methods that best fit their goals and topics. To put it precisely, it is competence to teach, to identify areas that require change, to plan, initiate, lead, develop, and teaching. There are 4 to 5 types of learners in any class. Elite learners, smart learners, speed learners, or fast learners, mediocre learners, and learning styles. When you draw something on the board, 30% people they catch the idea. Understand? Visual learner. And auditory learner, if you say something with the proper modulation, they understand. And the kinesthetic learner, when the teacher moves from one end to other end, not sitting static around the class, going to the students and talking in the personalized voice, that makes a sense. They learn. So, audio-visual, and auditory learner, and non-verbal skills. How we communicate our ideas without verbal quotes, without using verbal quotes. We say the dumb chats. How the teacher keeps a hand position and how she points out a student, how she looks at the student. You submit an assignment and how it is received with a courtesy. That remembers. When you take an assignment and throw it on the table, that's a communication. So how you handle teaching, handling the real souls of classrooms. So that requires it. Next slide, madam. Significance of pedagogical competence. Yes. The competent teacher needs both content mastery and pedagogical competency. Pedagogy is an art of teaching and brings effectiveness in teaching learning. Provide research-based teaching. How does it work? Just giving a demonstration. For example, teaching science subjects that requires a laboratory support. How to prepare oxygen in the laboratory. To give theory, you put potassium chloride plus manganese dioxide and it is heated, that releases oxygen that is stored in a measured jar. When you keep a lighting lamp, it enlightens, so the oxygen is produced. Instead, you prepare, you get ready a laboratory and make that student sit comfortably. And you show what is this, what is that, everything. Like we write in the laboratory notebook, what is the principle of the system and what are the equipment we require, what is the procedure and what is the event, how it is occurring onwards. So instead of giving a lecture, by giving one demonstration, that takes away. It stands in the mind forever. Significance. Used in the teaching of practical skills. So the teaching is just moving students from complex to simple. known, unknown to known. They may not know what is the subject, just they introduce. Use in teaching of practical skills. Stimulate educational situations to students. Promote achievement of students. You give a lecture and you conduct a demonstration. Just to take a feedback, how that works. How that works. We call it as an achievement experimental study. Divide the class into group, and one group, other group, and one demonstration and theory. And what is the achievement we discuss. What we do in our researches. Like that. Promote. This will promote demonstration methods by showing audio visual. It definitely promotes the students' learning styles. It improves the learning styles. And they learn the subject and remember it permanently. Builds up confidence of the teachers in teaching. Brings quality of learning and teaching in the curriculum. For example, it is very difficult for social science teachers because we have the limited places with the historical importance. For example, in Chennai, people we can take to Mahabalipuram. It costs nothing. Just if you spend 5,000 rupees, you can take students in the bus and come back. But how it is possible for a student from Coimbatore to visit Mahabalipuram? Very difficult. In those days, that's why textbook they got only pictures. Pictures. But nowadays, the government has made up a book with a QR code. It says the Pallava dynasty, there is a QR code. When you click on your mobile phone, the QR code is opened and the video opens. It shows all the related ideas of the subject Pallava dynasty, who was the first, who was the last, and what was development with the Helvets. Everything. It gives a complete picture that gives experience. So what is given through picture, we know the pictures speak 1,000 words, a Chinese proverb. So when they see a demonstration, of course there are some distractions, doesn't matter, but the content, 70% will be received by all the students. So the pedagogy can change the idea. Forget about Mahabalipuram. You want to say about Red Fort or Taj Mahal. Immediate, it's possible. There are some pictures related to the history topics. And Professor Majumdar of Delhi University has created many audio visuals for the history subject. So want to have a Delhi Sultan, just you require almost 10 days to study this topic. But whereas when you click the YouTube that runs for 40 minutes, it gives a complete history of Delhi Sultans in 45 minutes. If you look it for 5-6 times, the subject is by heart to your mind and readily available for use. That's one aspect, the pedagogy that I want to topic upon. And the demonstration of pedagogic competence, teaching skills, theoretical knowledge. As you said, the content, how the content is delivered, that is pedagogy. Next slide, please. Technological competence. The teacher technology competencies are a set of technology standards that define the proficiency in using computer technology in the classroom. The competencies consist of computer-related skills grouped into 4 general domains. So it was planned earlier to use computer within the classroom. One computer with one PowerPoint projector, or one computer network with other computers, and they sit in the one aspect. But now connecting people elsewhere. Basic technology operation, personal and professional use of technological tools. Sometimes if we know, we can, otherwise we have to depend upon some person. That is not a big issue that can be managed with the help of the subject experts, and if you do 1 or 2 times, you can understand. social, ethical, and human issues, and application of technology in section. Social, ethical, and human issues. That's what we face a lot of problem in online teaching. Out of 70 students, only 40%. If you ask the rest of the people, they say, sir, due to my economic condition, I cannot procure an Android mobile. If you provide me a mobile, I can attend your class. And ethical issue. Those who are attending 40%, they switch off their camera and mic, and they do their own job in the home. At the end of the class, we put the attendance link, they come and give attendance link, and they take attendance. I shared very 2 or 3 experiences, but you people might have experienced a lot. That there's a follows a slide speaking about these issues. And application of technology in instructions. How to make out a demo. For example, I can talk this topic in extempore way, but for better understanding, we create a PowerPoint slide. This can be showed in the drive and can be reused. And out of 20 slides, somebody may like some slides, the way it is presented, communicated. It helps to remain in your mind for a long time. Yes. Each domain consists of a subject-specific skills. They are sequenced from simple to complex so that the mastery of the skills is cumulative. So, the idea that requires a technology and a pedagogy that get into the instructive mode. So, the skills become cumulative. Next slide, please. There's a board, National Education Technology for Teachers, NETS standards. Technology operations and concepts, planning and designing learning environments and experiences, teaching, learning and the curriculum, assessment and evaluation, productivity and the professional practice, social, ethical, legal, and human issues. So these are the set out standards by the NETS. We teach, we should prepare the content, and we should know the technology operations, and we should know the plan and design, and teaching, learning, and it should the curriculum. And the very important is fourth level, assessment and evaluation. There was a discussion by the educational experts. So in this, due to this corona issue, we are a little liberal in evaluation and we make them pass. Everybody gets a minimum score is 70%, highest score is 95%. Sir, how to identify the talents? I shared my thought. This was, we are coming to the cycle again. We are going to the old cycle. To identify a talented person, it only requires a skill application. So all the students, they passed out 60 marks, 75-80% possible with MA English. Whereas I struggled a lot to score a first class in 1995. Nowadays, 80%, 85% of marks. So an employer can easily set an evaluation benchmarks to identify the right candidate. So all are above 60, 65. How to identify? Put them a test. Call out for a test. And you apply the skill test. You ask them to write a letter or make a jam, just a minute talk. Simple. So the education purpose is over now. Now, the employers, they should be in the caution to identify the right candidate for their job. And as well as for our system, assessment and evaluation. the internal marks are not proportionate to external marks. We award 23 out of 25, he scores only 18 out of 75. So where is the mistake that we should ask our conscious? Are we conscious in evaluation? And productivity and the professional practice. How your teaching makes an effort or effect on the student's mind. And as I said, the social, ethical, legal, and human issues. Somebody not joining, somebody may not joining, and any material that you use that case any social problems, this and all. You should be very careful of showing pictures and using names, quoting reasons, explaining. There are some issues. So our skills are respected, all these 6 levels, and it is very difficult to maintain that. But where we have to mark up. Next slide. So what made this virtual teaching as a necessary aspect? So far, learning took place in conventional classroom, what we say our regular classroom, and clubbed learning and peer teaching. Sometimes we identify the good students in the class, 10 to 15, and put them in group that the peer will teach the peer. And we keep one room as a smart room, one computer with broadcast aspect or presenting equipment like LCD projector we do. And smart classroom computer is interrelated, networked, and we can display any message and that is shared. There are some technical tools, high class tools like we do. They are managed so far. But how this virtual teaching became necessary? The pandemic forced personal contactless learning. We are not supposed to contact the students. Teachers should remain home and the students should remain home and they should contact and learn. And one method is virtual teaching. Academic course ended with online teaching and learning. So we have to think some methodology of teaching. So we cannot blame this COVID or some political and societal obligations. So we should finish that formality. The academic course ended with online teaching and learning. Online learning, nuances enhanced. So the Google Meet is a business tool for the business people to contact their customers and have interaction around the world, around the globe. But now this has become an educational tool and we are enjoying its nuances. Next slide, madam. The teaching modes in pandemic overview. Just to you look at the glance, how much delivered online, course classification, and typical description. 1 to 29, self-facilitated. Just you prepare your content and put it in a college server. And student will log in and learn. That's one aspect. 30 to 17% blended hybrid and what we do. The online course face-to-face delivery, maybe not possible. So create a network and teach. 80% online. A course where most all the content is delivered online typically has no face-to-face meeting at all. And there's one aspect called classes in distance, overlaps with online, but usually encompasses earlier technologies such as correspondence course, education television, and video conferencing. I still remember in 1980s, in Trichy radio station used to broadcast Madurai Kamarajar University correspondence courses per day, per subject, per department. My teachers, they're attentive. Those times they completed correspondence courses. And Madurai Kamarajar as a practice. And Jnanavani, the refined aspect. And we have many educational satellites, EduSats, are supporting our system. I think slide please. The slide is missing. Thank you. What are the advantages of virtual classroom? This I took a visual from a source. I had to walk 2 miles through the snow to school. Now it is no problem. You can sit home and do. My bus ride to school was 40 minutes. I have to travel hectically 40 minutes. And sometimes it took 30 seconds to log on to my online classes. These are the advantages. Next slide, please. And the conventional teaching and the online teaching, and what is a big change? Changing roles and place of teacher. Something expected from teacher. What is that by virtual teaching? The teacher is a content maker. In the conventional classroom, it is enough to handle the textbook and deliver the idea. But whereas in virtual teaching, the teacher is a content maker. The teacher is a content designer. He has to design the material. How is he going to make any animations or only slide, any pictures like that? Teacher is a center of learning network. They're supposed to know how to broadcast, creating network and all. And teacher is a service provider. Teacher is a tech savvy. Only after virtual teaching, many processes they created Google Mail account to accommodate Google Meet classes. Skill to handle teaching platforms. Suppose when something goes wrong, how to troubleshoot, tech shoot the ideas. Teachers supposed to know. So the conventional days are gone. The virtual teaching now moving to this level, and teachers' roles are changed. Next slide. In a learning environment where technology is truly integrated, not an adjunct, students and teachers use technology tools to enhance all areas of teaching and learning process. We are so comfortable using mobile phone to book our train tickets, flight tickets, movie tickets, online purchases, Flipkart, online, everything we do. But now we happen to use mobile phone for teaching. So I think it is little upset because other things okay, but teaching through mobile phone, there are some hesitations, I understand, but no way. Effectively managing a classroom where students engage these activities in a manner that improves academic achievement requires a teacher with expertise in the sophisticated and increasingly complex field of instructional technology. To manage this, a classroom where students engage this activity. So in a classroom, there are variety of people or students, and they learn the subject in a very different way. As I said, this learning styles. But you put them all in one cubicle called virtual learning and keep them smart in the classroom and learn things. That's a great task. The teacher technology competences are designed to give teachers this expertise to select the usual technological resources, but not only the students' learning needs, but also equip them with appropriate skills for the future. Even for just a clarification, after enter the class, you can create a link to discuss the subject, what are the optimal doubts, and things get clarified. But anyhow, the teacher is again forced and is forced to give the technical savviness. He is supposed to possess these skills. Next slide, please. The positive aspects of virtual teaching: exciting opportunities, convenient solution to today's business learner, expand learning. There are sub points for the visuals. I need not explain. Just I mentioned the points. Expand learning opportunities and provide quality education through variety of formats. Next slide, please. Some drawbacks in virtual teaching. Technology. As we say, it is very powerful and my strength, and that becomes a weakness sometimes. Sometimes the internet goes off from my side, so no one can help it. But in conventional classroom, we can manage. I was taught by my professor, if you prepare, you teach, otherwise you engage. You just give a general discussion about ethics and all that. Go prepared for the class. If you don't prepare, go and engage the class. Don't try to teach anything. Haphazardly, that will end up with a problem. So the first drawback is technology, equity and accessibility. As I said, students, they suffer with socioeconomic reasons to procure a mobile phone. But they are coming in a pulsar bike, that's a different issue. Computer literacy, limitations of technology, slow or intermediate internet access, student abilities must be mature, self-disciplined, can be heard from student who needs a structure, must be well organized, self-motivated, and have good management, can get lost easily, may feel isolated with camaraderie of fellow students, usually not appropriate for younger students. Facilitator abilities, lack of essential online qualities. Not say lack of, but anyway, what is required. Other than that, must create a supporting environment, be accessible. Going to college and taking online classes, that was practice a couple of months before. But due to that network system, that was not conducive. Next slide, please. So, challenges versus benefits. One technical aspect, but both we have both aspects. Challenges, setting it up, keeping it fresh, lectures, missing face-to-face connections, building relationship through virtual world, writing reference letters, being online and accessible. These are challenges. Benefits, flexibility, satisfaction, continued improvement, ability to stay current, connecting without actual contact, global students. So, by virtual classroom, we can connect to any professor or any expert from any part of the world. Only the timing is the difference, but we can make out it. So, this is a mixed view. Virtual learning, what are the challenges, what are the benefits? Next slide. It's a funny one, but sometimes factual too. Who is attending your virtual classroom? Hope the slide is visible. You can read for a minute.
Sir?
Yes?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Next slide. So we may not know who is in the other end. Who is sitting and listening our class. Sometimes some intelligent students, they used to make their parents to sit for them. Because we used to check only the messages. They reply yes, no, yes, sir, not audible, sir. Though it is audible, they say it's not audible for me, sir. The screen is not clear, sir. Like that. We don't know who is the other end. Next, the very important aspect in this virtual teaching and learning is listening. Yes, I know the listening was crucial to being a good leader. But I never knew that I was the one had to do the listening. The listening is everybody should listen, not only me, throughout the classes. Next slide. Less is becoming more predominant. It's a oxymoron or antithesis, you call it either way. The spectacle become rimless. The telephone become cordless. Cooking become flameless. The tire become tubeless. Driving a car become keyless. Transaction become cashless. So this all ended with one fine aspects. Contactless classes are possible in the days to come. Expect the unexpected modes of teaching and learning will be a hot topic for next decade. So when this pandemic will come to an end, we can go for conventional classroom. That's the biggest question. So far we enjoyed the classroom. So far we enjoyed the teaching technology within the classroom in a laboratory. But now we have moved to the new platform. It's called virtual learning or virtual teaching, virtual learning. So you cannot contact a student, only you can connect a student. So which are very possible in the days to come. Expect the unexpected modes of teaching and learning will be this kind of learning will be a hot topic for a next decade, next 10 years. The 50% classes will be on online. Next slide. Conclusion. A resourceful teacher cannot be replaced by any technology or gadgets. By chanting this mantra for more than 100 years. But when the person is not ready to learn computer skills, he is out of the scene. He has to learn, or he has to keep a person to demonstrate or deliver this subject to network. So we cannot say this as a excuse or license. I am a resourceful teacher. Nothing will replace me. No. The computer it will not replace. The classrooms will go out of you. But computer network teaching and learning have become the latest survival skills in the resource list. If you know this, you are appointed. If you know computer skills, yes, fine. Otherwise, we cannot hire you. Because they become part. After joining an educational institution, the teaching is only 50%, and the documentation is 25%. And when you go for NAC accreditation, everything required document and required this. Storytelling methods are slowly obsolete, and soon such aspects will be available only in stories. By telling a story, we can teach a lot, true. But how long this will survive in our world, I'm not sure. Soon there will be stories. In those days, my teacher used to write things on the blackboard. Yes, stories. Lockdown has opened up many alternate methods of survival, and teaching profession is not an exemption. So teachers happen to face change management all of a sudden, and situation demands. survival of the fittest. When the fashion changed, we also changed. We cannot be adamant. Sorry, I can't change myself. No. The teacher supposed to give lectures through virtual method. So the management or the system should help them to learn the skills and help the teachers to teach through online mode. Proper training may be useful for teachers to learn this technique. It is not a choice of anybody, the virtual learning. It's a condition, the present condition, the pandemic has left only one aspect to contact your students, to teach the subject is virtual teaching. Last slide, please. I think
Yes,
you have to reduce the size of the slide.
Okay. Yes.
Yes. In virtual classroom environment, questions are very important, not answers.
Yes, sir, you're correct.
But anyway, I am ready to answer your questions. Your questions, please.
Yes. Dear participants, if you have any queries and clarifications, you can ask, you can raise it now. So our sir will attend, clarify all your doubts. Yes. Please ask your question in the chat box.
They ask only the link.
So we are grateful to you, sir, Dr. Gauri Shankar, sir, Assistant Professor and Head, Loganatha Narayana Swami Government College, Ponneri, for accepting our request and sparing your valuable time with us, sir. Uh, thank you so much for your presence and gracing this session with your knowledge. Thank you, sir. Um, Now I request Dr. Mangai, Assistant Professor of Education, Stella Martina College of Education, to deliver the vote of thanks. Welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you, Josephine, ma'am. Oh, give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. First of all, I thank God for his blessings. I deem it a great privilege to propose the vote of thanks for the session on teacher competencies in virtual teaching, that is the third day of 1 week international webinar on teaching redefined for Gen Z, organized by Department of Educational Psychology and Capacity Building Program for School Teachers, Tamil Nadu. Teacher Education University, along with IQAC of Stella Matutina College of Education. I place on record my profound gratitude to Dr. R. Gauri Shankar, Assistant Professor and Head, Loganatha Narayana College, Ponneri, Tiruvallur, for giving his valuable input on teacher competencies in virtual teaching. Sir has explained so well, right from the basics, starting from the definition and meaning of competency and what kind of competencies are required for the teachers. That is, the classroom communication that happens between the teachers and the students. He has clearly pointed out the teacher competencies, namely the subject competence, that is the knowledge of content, pedagogical competence, that is the knowledge on instructional methods, and integrate the own practices in the classroom. Then the technological competence, that is the application of technology in instruction and the domains that are related to specific skills. Sir has also insisted that we have to follow the guidelines of National Educational Technology for Teachers and how all the teachers have adapted to virtual teaching after COVID 19. Thank you so much, sir. He has also highlighted the changing roles and phases of teachers, how a teacher has transformed during the pandemic period. He has also discussed the positive aspects of virtual teaching, and I thank the resource person from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your valuable input. Thank you, sir. It's my duty to thank the patron of this 1 week international webinar, Professor N. Panchanathan, Vice Chancellor of TNTEU, the four patrons of this webinar, Professor B. Balakrishnan, Registrar in charge of Tamil Nadu Teachers Education University, and Reverend Sister Pauline Mary, the Secretary of Stella Martitina College of Education, for providing us this platform. I also thank the conveners, Professor M. Govindan, Dean of Faculty and Head, Department of Educational Psychology, Tamil Nadu Teachers Education University, Dr. Mrs. Joseph Catherine, Principal, Stella Martitino College of Education, for their motivation. I also thank the directors, Professor S. Mani, Director, Center for National and International Academic Collaboration, and Professor and Head of Department of Educational Planning and Administration, Tamil Nadu Teachers Education University, Dr. Mrs. A. Alma Juliet Pamela, IQAC Coordinator, Associate Professor of Education in SNCE. Thank you so much, sir and ma'am. Next, I thank the organizing secretaries, the ever enterprising and scintillating person, Dr. T. Shivashakti Rajamal, Assistant Professor and Coordinator, Center for Capacity Building Program for School Teachers, Tamil Nadu Teacher Education University. Thank you, ma'am. I also thank Dr. Mrs. Arogya Elizabeth Josephine, Assistant Professor of Biological Science, Stella Martitino College of Education, for her contributions. Thank you, ma'am. My heartfelt thanks goes to all the organizing joint secretaries of this international webinar, Dr. V. Vasudevan, Assistant Professor of Tamil Nadu Teachers Education University, Dr. P. M. Lakshmi Shanmugam, Assistant Professor of Tamil Nadu Teacher Education University, Mr. S. Balamurugan, Assistant Professor of Tamil Nadu Teacher Education University, Dr. Mrs. Jane Shantini, Directress in Physical Education, Stella Martitino College of Education, Sister V. Sheeta Viola, Assistant Professor of Education, Stella Martitino College of Education, Dr. P. Subramanian, Assistant Professor, Tamil Nadu Teacher Education University, Dr. T. Premalata, Assistant Professor of Education, Bhartiyar University, Coimbatore, Mr. S. Rajakumar, Assistant Professor of Education, Tyagaraja College of Preceptors, Madurai, for their moral support and cooperation in conducting this webinar successfully. It's my duty to thank Tamil America TV for collaborating with us and broadcasting our webinar live on Tamil America TV. Thank you so much, team. I wholeheartedly thank the enthusiastic and active participants who are keen in expanding their horizons of knowledge. Thank you so much, participants, for your presence. I thank each and everyone once again. Thank you all.
Excuse me. Yes. Yes, please. There are some.
Ma'am, today's link has not been shared. Feedback link was yesterday's.
Ma'am, the link you are provided is yesterday's. Kindly send today's feedback link. Please, ma'am.
Okay.
That was an awesome session. Thanks a lot for providing us.
Thank you, ma'am. Actually, they have asked, is there any competency tools available like that? They asked, sir. Some of them they have asked. Is there any tool to assess the competency, teacher competency? Like that they have asked.
no such tools available.
Yes. Yes, sir. Yes.
No concrete tools available, like how we measure oil, how we measure cloth, how we measure air speed, friction, nothing like. It is purely an abstract competence. Even if you are not supposed, we are not supposed to say competency, competence. So, how a person, how we cannot expect quality of the same spirit among all. Like we have 100 students, we teach 100 students, and 10 boys they score more than 90, and 20 boys they score less than 40. You deliver the same content, but what makes a big difference? The learning styles. In that place, there is no question that teacher is not competent. The methodology and the local application method should be changed. So we should, teacher is a content competency, he should prepare the subject, and he should not have the doubt in the subject, and he has to do the preparatory tools, the presentation tools. Why we have a audio visual in the classroom? Why we have a blackboard? Only to entertain the visionary learners. In olden days, in Vedic days, there is something called a Karna Parambara. They say, and you take it from your ears and remember things. Karna Parambara means they remember only by hearing and responding. That's it. Coming to the modern evaluation of teachers, this can be used as a aspects. For example, how he is competent in the subject and the usage of tools. How we award marks for the teacher recruitment. The percentage of marks for PG subject, PhD research subject, and teaching capacity, and research about publication. These are the multiple aspects a teacher can be evaluated. But again, this is only the idea. That's not a clear-cut or certified blueprint. When you take up my teachers, they were their highest qualification was MA and MPhil. My professor used to quote Milton Paradise Lost 950 lines without seeing the book. There were many capacities, but it is required for the time being. A teacher is supposed to get into virtual teaching. 50% content and 50% technology. It is technology ruled world. So we should teachers supposed to develop technological skills or network skills, computer skills.
Yes, sir.
So, may I, sir? Shall I?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Good evening, sir. First of all, my compliments for the wonderful eye-opening session. My question is not connected to virtual or technology something. I apologize for that. It is a kind of general question. Like one of my friend is working in a higher institute of higher learning. So there they have one of the subject as English. You know, we do have in first years or second years of college, we do have English paper, isn't it? So what they have done, so what they have done, they have divided the class or that entire year into three categories. Like slow learners, like something they have graded into three, and they have even developed the syllabus for them into three. Like I feel it has its own advantages at the same time disadvantages. Sir, what's your take on that? Sorry, I have deviated from the topic, but
No,
sir.
Hello.
So your take, sir, is it right or is it wrong?
No. Actually, this I require a little more time to answer because we should grade the students into the different category. But we should not show the difference among the learning process. In the classroom, a comprehensive material may be presented for the understanding of all the students. And when you identify these are the groups, and you have to give it as an extra stuff. For example, class A is smart learners Section B is a fast learner, Section C is a mediocre learner, Section D is a slow learner. We are not supposed to make such gradation. That itself create a kind of a psychological insecurity, and the student will not perform. Even in a staff meeting conducted or any meeting conducted by the director or by the college principal, no staffer will open the mouth because we may not know how the head will take the things actually. So better we can simply keep quiet, and what the better decision already made, and we give approval for that. In an open classroom, why no student is coming forward to give answer means the fear. When the answer becomes correct, you will get appreciation. But the answer becomes wrong, you will get only the insults. So the student is struggling. So this should be made little more friendly. Definitely, because even in IITs there are unemployed students are there. So wherever we go, we have this kind of different types of learning and different caliber of students are there. Okay.
So, my take was that, yeah, sorry to interject, sir. Like, when I spoke with my friend, I told him that I do not agree with such gradation. I do not, maybe I'm a bit philosophical or something, because when you grade the student at 3 levels, psychologically they get impacted. Moreover, the grade C, for example, student the syllabus will be very light. Grade A student syllabus will be very heavy. So obviously there is a difference in the skills that we are imparting into them. Number one. Number two, I told to him, maybe I'm a bit philosophical, I told him that it is the job of the teacher to identify the student who is very weak and, serve him accordingly, and identify the students who is very good and serve his needs accordingly, rather than grading the classes in these three.
Yes.
Maybe,
yes.
sir. Sorry, just my take on that.
Yes, you're right. But it should be done without the knowledge of the students actually. The student should not feel that I am identified as a slow learner.
Correct. Thank you, sir.
So a teacher should optimally plan the classroom work to reach the slow learners. 1 or 2 times he has to explain, to give a parallelism in Tamil medium also. She can also give examples. I share my thought. I was little difficult to learn some scientific definitions. For example, osmosis. The higher density liquid, when it is parted through a partially permeable membrane, it moves towards a lower density. It's called osmosis. I was little struggled. I struggled a lot to understand this concept. The teacher said, how the grapes, there's a kismis, raisin, follow when the moment it is put in the give. We call it as a payasam, a give. A sweet served in the liquid form in all the feast. The very first they used to put in the leaf, payasam or give. Have you seen the raisin, how it gets swallowed? That is because of osmosis. The higher density, that sugar syrup, get into the fruit. So I understood the concept. So like that, more examples, more lively examples, local examples, known examples will help the slow learners to understand the topic, and the teacher can write the students into one aspect with a 70% optimality of knowledge delivery, knowledge transfer we call it as.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yeah, it's Dr. Neeta, sir, calling from Damgere. I'm working in a Kapuji B.Ed college, sir.
Okay.
I've taken the concept that is the topic for the teaching competency only.
Yeah.
To the teaching competency of the B.Ed students, because I work in a B.Ed college, I just wanted to know. So my topic was an interaction effect of language proficiency, emotional intelligence, and reasoning ability on teaching competency of B.Ed students. And I had taken PASI and Lalita's standard tools, sir.
Madam, a little bit I would like to say, because I'm not very much education application is not my core domain.
Okay.
Okay, by teaching of English and how we can design a tool for teaching ability, that we can. But for this relative tools like emotional intelligence, socioeconomic factors, this and all, I'm not that much familiar. This can be put as a variable research, but I'm not that much involved in that area.
Okay.
When you say language proficiency, that tool that you can develop.
Yeah, I had developed language proficiency, sir.
Okay.
And business ability also I had developed.
Okay.
Okay, and emotional intelligence, that it was a standardized.
Standard tool.
And teaching competency also I got it, sir. Lalita and Fast is standardized.
So in which year it was discussed, the tool?
Yeah, that was
the age of the tool?
Yeah, yes, sir. Pardon?
What is the age of the tool? When which year it was get ready the tool?
Yeah, it was on DED students, sir.
Okay. No. In which year it was developed? The tool was developed.
Which mine, sir?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was in 2008, sir.
2008. Okay.
Yes, 9. Yes.
But now you are carrying a research in 2021 means it should be at least 5 to.
I'm thinking you can do it for delete, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, this was PhD. Now I just need to do for delete.
But the suggestion is,
yes,
we are using the tool in 2021 means it should be updated to 2016. At least a 5 years breathing period we can plan any tool.
Okay.
We should not use the old tool because you see the sensitivity of 2015 teaching methodology is changed. When you see the 2021, and we are doing a different business.
Yes.
So there is a polar shift of ideas. So better you can develop your tool. Use same tool that it can be developed and modifications may be justified at the end of the tool.
Yes, sir. I want to change it, mean to say modify it, sir.
Yeah.
To the new year.
You can do it now.
Yes. Thanks, sir. The session was very nice. It was excellent, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Yes, shall we end the meeting, sir?
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.
I immensely thank the organizers for the opportunity provided.
Hello, ma'am.
To share my skills with the knowledge giants. Once again, I thank you. Thanks, Rhonda.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Ma'am. Hello, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Just a question. Yes, day before yesterday, I didn't get the link. Yesterday, I get the link, but whenever I wanted to fill the feedback form, I could not able to do. Today, I have done for today and yesterday also. Is it okay, ma'am?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, sir, for wonderful session, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Welcome, madam.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
வழக்குண்டாகாது.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.